My name is Matthew Cassidy, and I'm a member of the Democracy Project, a student-led initiative encouraging students to become engaged and active citizens on campus and in the community. We are being broadcast by our co-hosts, America's Best in Basement Radio, WPRK. It's our very pleasure to have you this evening. First, a special thank you to the Rollins College administration, the president of Rollins College, Dr. Cornwell, and his wife, Mrs. Cornwell. If they can raise their hand real quick. There. Vice President of Student Affairs, Dr. Akapati. And most importantly, to our candidates, for seat 3, Carolyn Kruper and Lambridi Macheski. And seat 4, Tom McMacken and Pete Walden. And many, many thanks to our candidates for being willing to partner with us this evening. So thank you to all the candidates. And at this time, it is my privilege to introduce our host for the rest of this event, former member of Florida House of Representatives and current CEO and founder of Dick Batchelor Management Group, Mr. Dick Batchelor. Through the Democracy Project, we hope to create a more committed and engaged citizenry, and Mr. Batchelor truly encompasses these ideals. Most recently, Mr. Batchelor has been leading efforts on addressing homelessness in Central Florida, and he's received many prestigious awards for his long career of service in our community, including Central Floridian of the Year, and we're honored to have him here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Batchelor.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you tonight, and I asked him to make the introduction very brief because if they go through it just like I've been around for a very, very long time, it begins to sound like a memorial service. So I don't like that. It makes me very, very nervous. And I just told him he should just cut it brief and say, "Here's Dick Batchelor, he used to be somebody." Thank you for having you tonight. We want you to know before we have the candidates introduce themselves, and we learned a lot about the candidates tonight. These questions were submitted by the students. We then in turn gave them to the candidates and they would have them take a look at before they were here this evening. The candidates would get time to respond to a number of questions. They get 3.5 minutes apiece, and Matt is my timekeeper, I believe. I don't have a gavel, but we can find something to knock you, but knock on the dais with anyway. Thank you for being here. So that's the way we're going to have this formatted this evening. And what I'd like to do is start on this end. And Mr. Weldon, tell us, if you would, about yourself and your experiences.
Thank you. Can you hear me? It's working? Thank you. First, let me be a little presumptuous. On behalf of all 4 of us, it's amazing how many people in the city care so deeply about who represents them. Thank you for coming. I'm Pete Weldon. I'm a candidate for seat 4 in Winter Park City Commission. I'm running in large part because I believe there's a better way to govern Winter Park. Fran and I moved here in 1989. Our children were born at Winter Park Memorial Hospital, and like many of you, we enjoyed the joys of watching our children in the annual Christmas parade down Park Avenue, whether it was karate class, or Boy Scouts, or perhaps Indian guides. And we've raised our family in a beautiful city that has had unobtrusive governance, and I want to make sure that we improve upon it and that we keep our governance unobtrusive. My background, I have an undergraduate degree from the University of Miami in Coral Gables in marketing. I went to the Fuqua School of Business at Duke University. My second year there, I earned a full merit scholarship. After graduate school, I went on to work for Johnson & Johnson. I had a career with them for 14 years, the last several of which I was the Vice President and Chief Financial Officer of a wholly owned subsidiary of Johnson & Johnson. After that, I later became a chartered financial analyst and investment advisor. I was recruited in 1989 to run a startup here in Winter Park by a large venture capital firm. And when my relationship with that company ended, we had a big decision to make because our first child had been born. And that decision, and the reason I'm running, is because we decided that raising our family in Winter Park was more important than my corporate career. And I reached out, I reached into myself as well as out to pursue a next career. And I became a chartered financial analyst and investment advisor for the past 20 or some years. And I was successful at that because I took prudent risk and I had a long-term perspective. And that is the quality that I believe I bring to the City Commission to make sound judgments and sound policy decisions for you. I have volunteered my service for the city for the past 8 years. I served on the Code Enforcement Board, I've served on the Tree Preservation Board, and I currently serve on both the Tree Preservation Board and the Planning and Zoning Board. Many of you who have read my blog, winterparkperspective.org, know of my passion for our city, for integrity, and for reasoned and good governance for Winter Park. I am an advocate for the rights, opinions, interests of each Winter Park resident, not one special Winter Park interest group. I am an independent voice willing to challenge special interests seeking to impose their agenda on you and on our city. As your commissioner, my job will be to protect your safety and your interests while making sure that the city delivers on its promised services. Sure, my responsibility is serving you, and as your commissioner, I will protect the character of Winter Park, I will protect your person and your property, and I will protect your property rights. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rollins. Mr. Mackey?
I must first start by saying this is a pretty mature crowd for students. I think you all must be here for continuing education. My name is Tom McMacken, and for the past 6 years I've been the city commissioner in seat 4. Prior to that, I served as chairman of 4 different city boards, Planning and Zoning, Historic Preservation, Public Art Advisory Board, and the Tree Preservation Board. I'm on the staff of the Winter Park Autumn Arts Festival. I'm on the Chamber of Commerce Membership Committee, and I also serve on the Orange County Community Action Board. In my spare time, I'm a landscape architect at John Engineering. I have a wife, Ann, who's in the audience here, who's an architect. My daughter, Emily, is a junior up at Clemson, and we've been in Winter Park now for 25 years. We used to come up here when we first moved to Florida, we lived in Tampa. And we used to come up here for the Autumn Arts Festival, and we'd say, boy, if we ever got the chance, we'd love to live in Winter Park, and that dream came true for us. I was originally born in Ohio. I graduated from LSU, and for those of you from the South, you know that today's Mardi Gras. A good one for everybody. In fact, I graduated from LSU before many of the students here were born. We'll let that one go. I love playing golf without keeping score. I'm a big fan of Formula One racing. And I'm looking forward to the questions and the discussion this evening. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Teske.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Lambrini Macheski. Yes, I'm a woman. For people who don't know me, they think I'm a guy. But Lambrini was actually my grandmother's name. And my parents are here tonight. Thank you, Basil and Eugenia. They actually immigrated from Greece. And I was the first person in our family to graduate college. So I think being at a university, I think that's important. I got my degree in business administration with a degree in accounting, and I'm one of the owners of Cocina 214. Many of you have been there, I've seen your faces there, but that's really how I got involved with the city. I believe in the mantra, leave things better than you find them. And when we opened Cocina 214 in 2011, we didn't realize it at the time because construction was going on during the day. But at night when we opened, our employees were leaving and our guests were leaving with no lights on the street. It was dark, the sidewalks were chipped and broken, and Morris Avenue had just done, or Morris Boulevard had just done their streetscape, and I thought, wow, that's a beautiful street. We should have that. So I went to the city and I asked, we need some street improvements. And I had someone tell me that we were a nothing business on a nothing street, And I said, yeah, that might be true, but we still need lights and we still need sidewalks. So I collaborated with our business owners on Wellborn, and we all pitched in. We got some money from the Community Redevelopment Agency, and we now have a beautiful new street. We got new bricks, we got lights, we got new drainage, and our street is now beautiful. It's safer. No one else is tripping anymore. And we actually have 2 new businesses on Wellborn that just celebrated their 1-year anniversary, The Grove and Writer's Block Bookstore. At Casino, we employ 60 people. We created all those new jobs. We just were named Orlando Sentinel's Best Mexican. We've won over 30 awards, and we're celebrating our 5-year anniversary. So we're very proud, we're very honored to be in this city, we're very invested in our community. But that's really how I got involved. I serve on several local boards. I'm the past president of the Park Avenue Merchants Association. And the year I was president was the first year in over 20 years that the Avenue had 0 vacancies. So we're very proud of that. We now have 128 members. We represent the businesses on Park Avenue. It's awesome to see new restaurants and new retailers and more options for the people in our community. I also serve on the Keep Winter Park Beautiful and Sustainable Board, Leadership Winter Park Alumni Council. Many alumni, Rollins alumni and faculty actually go through Leadership Winter Park. It's a fantastic program. So I serve on the Alumni Council now. And the Winter Park History Museum. I'm also a Girl Scout troop leader to my 9-year-old daughter, Rachel. She's here in the audience. Thank you for being here. But what I want to do for the people of Winter Park is what I did on Wellborn, and that is leave it better than I found it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Cooper, please.
I have been very honored to serve you for the last 6 years as your city commissioner. And prior to that, I was on the Planning and Zoning Board and the Comprehensive Plan Task Force. So I have a very good foundation in Winter Park, and I understand what it means to create a community of distinction. And I will tell you that I love to reflect on what the National Geographic Travel magazine said about Winter Park. They said, we are a gracious town, an oasis in the helter-skelter, out-of-control growth in Central Florida. And I'm very proud of that. Like Rollins, who was recently recognized as being the most beautiful campus in the United States by the Princeton Review, we all understand that our economic sustainability and our quality of life is directly related to us maintaining our distinction as a community of distinction, as an oasis, as a gracious town. And I commit to you that in every decision I make, whether it's something as simple as a setback on a lot, or as complicated as the comprehensive plan changes that will come before us next year, I will always keep first in mind that we must continue for tomorrow to be a community of distinction. Lowered expectations are not acceptable for Winter Park. I bring the absolute, I believe, the best experience and skill sets to do this job. At a regional level, I have served on the Florida League of Cities, representing 400 cities in Florida. I have served on their Growth Management Board, on their Finance Board. I am currently on the Advocacy Board in Tallahassee, where we do lobby on behalf of all cities. Additionally, this past year, I was actually recognized as a home rule hero. It really sounds like that should come with a cape, but I was recognized for my advocacy in Tallahassee. And those relationships take a long time to build, and they're important for the city of Winter Park, because there's so many challenges that we cannot handle at the local level. They have to be handled at the state level. And I have invested the time outside of my commission duties to be in Tallahassee and to work with the league on your behalf. I have a master's in systems management. I am a fiscal conservative. We've added about $627 million to the tax base. We've put $7 million into reserves. And we have not raised your taxes in the last 6 years. I'm very proud of my part in that. I also served as a finance manager for the Department of Defense, and after that as Director of Contracts for Lockheed Martin. As a Director of Contracts, I understand what it means to mitigate risk and to define them early in the process. And that's something that I am quite good at. I smell a fish. I understand that we need to fix our codes and we need to fix our laws, not wait till the concrete is coming out of the ground. So I think those skills serve the city very well. I have 5 children. 3 of them were raised here in Winter Park. We've been here for about 24 years. 3 of my children graduated from the IB program at Winter Park High School, and they've gone on to major institutions of learning within the United States. And we love Winter Park. I'm committed, and you have my total commitment to open, transparent government, and I will give you the time to do this job as well as it can be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. Now we're going to start back. If you don't mind, Ms. Cooper, I'm going to come back this way. Let's start with you. What is your plan to continue sustainability as a focus for Winter Park, and how do you intend to move that forward to improve upon what's already been done?
As a commissioner right now, I can tell you I'm really proud of what Winter Park has already done in the way of sustainability. And it's hard not to tell you about all of that, but it would take far too much time. I will tell you that as a policymaker, the 3 most important things that you can do are to elevate sustainability through adopting resolutions. That says to the whole world, this is important to Winter Park. The second thing as a policymaker that you can do is advocate publicly for sustainability. The most important thing that you can do is to ensure that there is budget in place to implement those sustainable goals once they have been set. As a commissioner, I have voted for a green building resolution, adopting LEED standards and pursuing LEED standards in building. We have adopted a complete streets program, ensuring that our streets accommodate bicycles, pedestrians, and cars, and a safe route to school program to make sure that we have sidewalks in place for our children to encourage them to walk to school. I'm very proud of all that Winter Park has done, from getting rid of styrofoam, which we have done, to building a LEED certified community center. Winter Park gets it, just like Rollins College. The new Bush Center is an incredible example of water harvesting and using that for flushing toilets. I mean, there's so many things. We're recapturing the energy from the air conditioning and the heating. And those are important steps that we can make as a community. As we move forward, what I will do is I have worked with the sustainability group. I think I saw Michael Poole here. And when I met with them, what I told them was, you gotta break it down into small enough pieces that we can make sure you get budget to do this. You need to come to the commission every year to keep that visibility. And that's very important. I will also continue to push for the pedestrian and bikes board, as well as the sustainability board, to have an opportunity to review our projects before they go to P&Z. So many times I've talked to our city arborist only to find out she never saw a plan for a major development in this town. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. I will continue to push to replant our oak canopy. That's critical. And in the way of lobbying, I will continue to lobby in Tallahassee to get federal money to help us get rid of the 1,900 septic tanks that are still in the city of Winter Park. If we are going to be sustainable, we must move forward in those ways, and I will absolutely continue to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Jessica.
Good idea, it's easier to hold it. actually serve on the Keep Winter Park Beautiful and Sustainable Board. You know, Winter Park was a little bit, I think, behind in that last year was the first year that the Sustainability Action Plan was adopted in 2015, actually about a year ago. We do have year-round programs that provide education and volunteer opportunities to keep our city clean and green. We have watershed cleanup activities. My daughter, our friends, we've done it before. It's actually fun to do. It's outdoors. We love the outdoors. We have energy efficiency audits. Earth Day we use as a big education tool for people. I don't think it's people don't want to be sustainable. Sometimes they just don't know how. And there's some really basic things. In the summertime, we sent a cute little flyer with the electric bill. And it basically had three things. Really had to do with recycling. Everybody has trash. Nobody likes to talk about trash, but everybody has it. Everybody produces it. And if we can get the citizens of Winter Park and the businesses to recycle, we make a huge, huge impact. So education is important. Turning off your water faucet. You know, we did this even with our Girl Scouts, that, you know, teaching them that, gosh, when you're brushing your teeth, you know, that you do the 2-minute happy birthday song. You're supposed to brush your teeth for 2 minutes, or sing happy birthday. Turn off the water. That's sustainable. That makes a big difference. When you leave your home, set your thermostat to 78 degrees. So we've done those education pieces. We want to do more of them. And actually, we don't have a budget on our board. We're one of the only boards in Winter Park. We're working on getting that. Michael Poole is here, or is he in the back? Thank you. When I first joined the board, I'm like, what do you mean we're a board and we don't have a budget? How are we supposed to do these sustainability things without a budget? So, you know, again, it's education. But going forward, I'm very excited. Abby and I, Abby from the city, we're doing a compost pilot program. And Cosina 214 has offered to be the first business to be part of that pilot program. And I'm very excited. We're not doing it right now in our city, and the businesses aren't. We're going to be the first, and I'm excited going forward. Thank you.
Well, as a landscape architect for nearly 40 years, I've been committed to sustainability before it even became the movement that it is today. And I think during the past 6 years, both Rollins and the city have made considerable strides to being better stewards of our environment. I'd like to commend Rollins on their environmental studies program, their sustainable development courses, the Eco Rollins student organization, and their sustainability house. Those are quite impressive accomplishments. Now, I have to take my hat off as well to this Keep Winter Park Beautiful and Sustainability Board, because they have put together one of the most comprehensive documents that exist for addressing a citywide level of sustainability, and that is our Sustainability Action Plan. And I compliment all the board members for doing that. Because as we all know, it's much better to preserve rather than it is to try to replenish our natural resources. And during the past 6 years, I think the city has taken some major steps in that direction. We've installed electronic water meters that manage your home water usage. And we can detect leaks and malfunctions in your system in real time as opposed to having to wait for a monthly meter reader to come by. We offer inspections of the irrigation systems to make sure they're operating properly. We actually have solar panels on our utility complex that produce over 100 kilowatts of clean energy a year. We have electric car charging stations in our community. We just had zip cars out at the Sunrail station. We've got bike share locations around the city, and our building codes are continued to be updated to encourage conservation. If we have a new library, it'll be LEED certified. And that's part of the green building resolutions that we as a commission passed. Last night we had a workshop before our commission meeting talking about garbage collection, which seems rather mundane, but recycling is one of the major efforts of conservation. And in fact, we even looked at the possibility of having garbage turned into energy with one of our power suppliers. And we also offer energy rebates and audits within our electric utility department. I think the thing here is that we all recognize that sustainability is not a switch that you turn on, but rather a lifestyle that we all need to commit to. And there's 3 R's in that. There's reuse, and there's reduce, and there's recycle. And it's really become not a top-down fad, but it's become a bottom-up trend in this country, and we're part of that. I think our city's doing a great job in moving that forward. And what's really required now is the discipline to follow the plans that are in place. It is a step-by-step process, and I'm certainly dedicated to that effort, both personally, professionally, and as a commissioner.
Thank you very much. Mr. Walker?
It turns out all four of us agree.
I move for adjournment.
As has been noted, we have the plan. I encourage everyone who is interested to search the city's website for sustainability program, in other words, and you will come to the page. There is a 67-page plan that gets into the weeds rather deeply. And as my colleagues have noted, the results depend on how we address the details. The first thing a commissioner needs to do is to set a public example by endorsing sustainability as a priority. I do that as a volunteer board member and will do so as your commissioner. As the others have noted, we have moved forward on many fronts already. The solar roof panel at the city's maintenance yard was mentioned. And I note that everybody moans about traffic in Winter Park. Everybody. And the reality is that mobility alternatives become a key focus as we deal with the reality that Winter Park lies at the population center of one of the fastest growing metropolitan areas in the country. Right now, the Tri-County area is about 2 million and will soon be 3 million. Winter Park state roads and county roads that we don't control bisect our city at the center of that population mass. And I prefer to drive unimpeded from place to place, but the reality is we need to share the road, to encourage and provide for all mobility options. We are making tangible progress on this front with the Katie Way Bike Trail, among other projects. And I will continue to push for more of this to assure we provide safe alternatives to driving around in our cars in Winter Park. One of my key personal priorities as your commissioner is to assure we fully fund our forestry management program. I've been on this case for a number of years. Reforesting our street trees in every possible location in every neighborhood as we proceed with electric undergrounding. This initiative not only contributes to sustainability, it reinforces the character of Winter Park in every neighborhood and adds both to our quality of life and our property values. The bottom line is that commission leadership is needed to keep the elements of our plan in front of our citizens, to incorporate sustainability actions into the management of our city, to measure and publicize results, and to use these results to share the benefits of successful experience in implementing sustainability practices to help our residents and our commercial property owners then implement similar practices. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. I want to give you a chance to continue, if you don't mind. I'm thinking that's the next question. How would you work to improve the infrastructure of the city? Where do you see gaps?
Mr. Chair, before I start, I can't see the timer keeper, and it's hard.
I can't either.
It's hard to stop.
You want to sit up there, Charlie?
When you have so many people that want to hear about what the city's doing, and I know I probably should over, as long as I know.
Yeah, we're not telling anybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
30, why don't you give him 30 seconds?
30, do this, 10 seconds, do this, okay?
It's just that I would love to tell you so much.
Sir, could you repeat the question for the audience?
The train is leaving Lake St. Louis at 5.
How many pumpkins does it take?
But I asked my son that one time, because I'm not going to train, I don't care, so. How would you work to improve the infrastructure of the city, and where do you see gaps?
One of us mentioned earlier the fact that we have over 1,900 properties on septic. I would love to do something about that. One of the issues there is that our history is one of everybody pays for their own connection to the sewer line from their house. And so it's rather difficult with people who are not willing to make that personal investment and who wish to keep their septic tanks. I would welcome the input from all of our citizens on how we might deal with that effectively. Overall, my understanding of our water, sewer, electric, street, and other city infrastructure is that our people really do a fabulous job assuring both safety and reliability. While there can always be improvements at the margin, I do not currently see any large gaps in our basic infrastructure that is cause for concern. As noted on the subject of sustainability, we need to continually evaluate and implement mobility infrastructure, such as more bike racks in strategic locations. We need to facilitate bike sharing programs, which is underway, by the way, and to provide for safe pedestrian crossings and access. And that's going to be more and more important as the traffic continues to cut through our city, and we will need to address that. We need to commit to complete our electric undergrounding program in every neighborhood in Winter Park as soon as practical, and to follow behind with reforestation of our street trees as we underground, as I noted earlier. This is an infrastructure project that is essential to the long-term quality of life in Winter Park. I'm not happy with our current pay-as-you-go plan on the electric undergrounding, and I will look at ways to accelerate these initiatives as your commissioner.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Mayor.
You know, what I don't see for the most part are gaps in our infrastructure system, but rather I see master plans that are being implemented step by step over time. And I more or less put infrastructure in two categories. There's the seen and the unseen. Our unseen infrastructure is mainly utilities, such as water and sewer. And they're on revolving maintenance cycles. They're inspected, they're repaired and replaced according to strict state and city standards. Our roads are under the same scrutiny. They are measured every year and must meet similar kind of requirements. I think you all saw in the paper the other day, we're talking about the Smart City Initiative, and that's being championed by Congressman Micah in Washington, D.C. And it's actually an intercity, multiple city initiative to improve the traffic flows, through new technology in street lights and whatnot. As mentioned, our utility is in the process of undergrounding all of our overhead power lines within the city right-of-ways, which is going to provide more reliable service and hopefully eventually saving money for us as well. Currently, the city is investing nearly $3.5 million a year to accomplish this, and we are on schedule to complete this within the next 10 years. Now, being a landscape architect, I also put trees in as part of our infrastructure. And our urban forest plan is working hand in glove with our undergrounding utility, so that when we reforest an area, we're doing that and not obstructing any part of the electrical lines that are being worked on. Our bicycle and pedestrian master plan is being implemented. We're under construction right now on the St. Andrews Trail. Our Katy Way cycle track just received the Urban Land Institute Trendsetter Award. That's pretty impressively recognized nationally for something like that. And we're also looking at multi-use trail on Denny, which is part of our complete streets resolution. And while it's not really totally our responsibility, we're working with DOT and moving forward with improvements to our railroad crossings and also installing quiet zones for the trains. There's probably two areas going forward that I think we need to concentrate on. And as we've undergrounded our electric utilities, we've been looking at ways to provide Wi-Fi and additional internet access with that. I know we've had many people comment on that. It's taken a while. We've been negotiating with people, and sometimes the wheels move slowly. But I know it's on the plate of all the commissioners to have that move forward. The other thing we've done, and we've really got to take another look at, is how we continue to invest in our parks. You know, when I first took office, we had financial struggles here in the community, and we had to concentrate mainly on our health, safety, and welfare issues. And that was police and fire, waters and sewers. And we had to take a step back from our capital improvement plans within the Parks Department. Well, this year in 2016, we're putting almost $2 million into capital improvements. We're redoing the golf course, which I think we're going to be actually closed for a while, but when it opens up again, I think we're all going to maybe help my game. We're working on Ward Park, and we're working on Katy Way, and we're also just agreeing to purchase the bowling alley property on Fairbanks. Now, whether that becomes part of Martin Luther King or not is we'll decide that as a commission, but that's certainly a great example of how we can expand Martin Luther King Park, I think, for the benefit of it all. I think the bottom line is that our city infrastructure is in great shape, and we as a commission, I've been committed to that as well, as we've been working very diligently to keep that the way it is.
Thank you. Ms. Macheski?
Yes. Well, so I'm walking neighborhoods. I'm not a politician. I've never done this before. So I'm walking neighborhoods and I'm asking people, you know, what are your concerns? What are your issues? And infrastructure in several neighborhoods actually is a concern for them. There are certain areas that have flooding, you know, Hibiscus, Magnolia, Nico, that entire area, you know, they have drainage problems and it's a big concern for them. I met with many homeowners that put up sandbags when we have, you know, a lot of rain in a short amount of time. So Troy Attaway and his group know about it, and the head of Public Works. They know it's an issue, they know it's a concern, but infrastructure for the people there is a big issue. So I support, you know, Troy and his group with the fixes they're gonna do there. Streetscapes, there's certain neighborhoods that don't have lights, they don't have adequate lighting. Actually, many of the neighborhoods I've gone to, that was one of their biggest complaints, was not having enough street lights at night. You know, they're scared coming home, and they're afraid someone might be in the bushes. I actually had several homeowners tell me that. They have small kids, so adequate lighting is important to them. There's other neighborhoods that don't have sidewalks, and they want sidewalks. They want to be able to walk to their neighbors' homes and not be in the middle of the street where cars are driving. I know that the city is also looking at a citywide fiber optic network. Steve Leary, Mayor Leary, thank you. It's forward thinking, it's incredible, it's an incredible opportunity for us. My husband and I moved from Austin 11 years ago to Florida, and they have Google Fiber. And all of my friends there tell us how amazing it is. So it's an awesome opportunity, so I'd like to add that to the list. Thank you.
That's good.
I would agree with Tom that our current plans are being implemented for our infrastructure, and the city of Winter Park does do a good job. But if you were to say to me today, you have $5 million to go and invest in something different in infrastructure, I think my focus, in addition, of course, to our trees and our electric undergrounding, which I am thrilled to know that no matter who is elected, we have told you that we will focus and expedite your tree replanting and your electric underground. So I think that's pretty positive for us. But if I had $5 million today and I was going to go spend it on something in Winter Park, I would probably look at the reclaimed water facility that we have. It doesn't have adequate storage. The adaptive signalization at our traffic lights. Thank goodness for Representative Micah and what he is doing for us in that regard. But the city has started already on our own to study that. In the budget last year, we had $200,000 to start that initiative, but it's a multi-million-dollar study process to get that done. So certainly having Representative Micah's help will be very, very needed. For me, family-friendly bike connectivity. I'm really not that interested in bike lanes in the gutter on the side of the road, but I'm extremely interested in family-friendly, multi-use, wide bike paths that you can take children on the stroller or your friends with their training wheels still. You know, so to me, that's what matters when we talk about connectivity and bike paths. Certainly, I'm hoping that that's what happens on Denning, and I'm pushing really hard for that, so that that wide bike path will be under trees on the east side of that street and allow multi-family use. So that would be one. The other bike trails that I would love to see are the rails and trails along the right-of-way of Sunrail. Sunrail hasn't been particularly interested in doing that, but in many other states it has been done. And I would like to see us as a community continue to pursue that, not at the exclusion of our small businesses that need parking, but the last time I checked, every rail's got two sides. And I think we can accommodate both of those things. And lastly, the stormwater drainage improvements. I also have talked for years, unfortunately, to the residents over off of Temple, and you're absolutely correct. They have standing water, and they have been working, thank you, they have been working with Seminole County to come up with a resolution to that, and I think we're pretty well on our way, but still it's very hard for those people, and those are real problems. And when you get out in people's living rooms, you hear about it. But I want to tell you about water. That's real important to me. The reason I would like to see us increase the size of our storage tank, how am I doing? Okay, I'll tell you later about water. But I can tell you that the storage tank at our reclaimed facility is so small that it doesn't allow our plant to operate at its maximum capacity. And I think that's $1 million we need to spend pretty soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Go ahead and start back this way with you first, if you don't mind. What do you see as the most pressing issues facing Winter Park, and how can Rollins be part of the solution?
When we did a recent survey of our residents, thanks to Mayor Leary, I see you here, what came up as the very first concern for a lot of people was managed growth. And when I look at Rollins, I understand that you have the most beautiful campus. And what I would love to see is if your students, in the way of community engagement, and I know you're very, very good about participating over at Mead Gardens, the students really get it. They understand that what they learn here can be shared with the community, and they're very good about doing that. But in the area of growth in particular, when you look at Rollins, it's exquisite. I mean, it's beautiful. Look at the ratio of open space to buildings. Look at the maintenance of their tree canopy. Look at their architectural excellence. What I would love to see is for a group of students to take the time to actually measure, quantify, and define what it is about Rollins that makes it so beautiful. And then what I would like to do is to move those design standards across the street and embrace them in the city of Winter Park. Because I think as we move forward, that's going to become very, very important. And Rollins does have beautiful open space here, and their trees are well maintained. And I think the city can learn a lot from that. In addition to how we grow, I think Rollins really understands how to communicate. And what I would love to see as part of the Lifelong Learning Center, a forum like this a little bit, but a little more of you participating, where we actually learn to communicate with one another in a non-contentious, non-judgmental forum where we can talk about the important things in Winter Park that seem to be separating us. We have had consultants come into Winter Park and they say, one of the biggest challenges you have is that your residents don't have a consensus on growth. And I think we need to address that. The other thing that has been on the top of the list with everyone I've talked to is transportation. People are very concerned about congestion. And I do appreciate that we are moving forward with adaptive signalization, but that's going to be many years in the making. It won't happen tomorrow. And while we might start it, it'll take a while to be implemented. But in the interim, Rollins could help by really promoting Sunrail with the students, by possibly reducing the number of cars on the campus, by helping Winter Park encourage other partners so that all of us can go together and implement a circulator bus that would bring the students safely from the Sunrail to their dorms, that would take our residents to their neighborhoods and back to Sunrail. We need to make Sunrail work. It's imperative, because until we do, we are always going to be dealing with traffic congestion, and we're going to have to deal with it anyway, but it's going to get worse and worse. If there are things we can do better, we can stop building giant parking garages, because I guarantee if we build them, we'll fill them up. If we want to take cars off of our roads, we need to have interconnected, family-friendly bypass, not gutters on the side of the road, because grandma is not going out there, and I can tell you, children on little bicycles with learning wheels are not going to be out there. And so we need absolutely friendlier ways to do that. And I think Rollins can give us those guidelines. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm glad to hear that you like Sunrail, because we have employees that use it actually, and what I found to be the most pressing issue today is traffic. So you've touched upon it a little bit. Everyone's sort of experiencing it every day throughout the day, but we can do that in different ways, through streetscapes. One is with the Lee Road extension now happening, that'll be happening here soon. Why don't we bring back the plan from 2004, that the 1792 Streetscape Master Plan. Commissioner Metcalf worked on it in 2004. I actually saw the plans. It's beautiful. It would allow for 10-foot sidewalks, which we currently do not have on 1792, so it's not pedestrian friendly. Could you imagine walking on 1792 now? Absolutely not. But we would have 10-foot sidewalks with tree wells, and then we would have the standard 11 feet wide lanes. We have the plan. It's in the works. Troy Attaway, Butch Margaret, all those guys are working on it to bring it back to the table, and I support it. Technology, that's another way we can address it. So you talked about it a little bit, but Congressman Micah has the Intelligent Traffic Transportation System. It reduces traffic congestion through technology. It's actually pretty amazing. And we actually have one of the lights here now. It is part of the pilot program on New England and Interlochen when they did Rollins. That is actually, there's a camera built into the light, and it tracks movement. So it will turn if there's a car sitting there and not one on the other side. It will turn the light green. So that's how it works. It's very efficient. It's real time. It synchronizes lights based on that real traffic flow. Micah is working on it. I fully support it because I think that will help. And Carolyn also touched upon this, but making our city more pedestrian and bike friendly. Rollins has done such a great job. Look at how students get around here. You see them on their bikes, you see them walking. They have beautiful streetscapes, they have sidewalks, they have lights. We have to build that infrastructure in order for people to use it. And it's a combination of all these things that will get less cars on the street and more people walking and traveling in different ways. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for mentioning the 1792 improvements. A landscape architect that remained nameless actually worked on that plan in 2004. So I'll take that there. You know, we're meeting tonight on what has been described as the most beautiful campus in America, and in a city that National Geographic calls a historic oasis. And I think the big question before us now is, how does our city renew itself and still maintain its eclectic aesthetic that really attracted so many of us here in the first place? And I use the word renew because we're not really growing in traditional measurements of land mass or population. Our city's evolving as a whole new generation who likes to call this place home. And as that transition takes place, we found that in order to build something new, we must replace it with something that already exists. And the challenge is, how do we do that without diminishing the value or the character of the homes and businesses that are going to remain? And I think as one of the largest landholders in Winter Park, Rollins has the opportunity, and I think the responsibility, to lead by example. And I think, fortunately, they've been up to the task lately. And I want to bring two examples forward that I've dealt with personally during my time here at the city. It's the Alphon Inn, and it's also the new Child Development Center. I was on P&Z when the